This is Marie. I'm one of your marker pop colorists. I have a mini tutorial for you today.
Today we'll be using a light medium skin tone, E53, E51, E50, and one with a gray, an E81, very sparingly for a little cast shadow. We'll be using Express It paper, and the image will be stamped with Memento Tuxedo Black. We're using a saturated canary image called Free Hug. Now, we're going to be reviewing 3 things today that will help you make really beautiful skin tones. And one is to always begin with your skin tone before you do the hair or some other areas. And the first is lay down a smooth base coat. That will allow you to blend easier. You won't get blotches. You begin with your very lightest highlight color. In this case, it will be with your E50. And just put down a smooth coat. And you know, ink always follows moisture, so when you apply your others, there will be some blending happening very naturally. And now I'm going to be adding one of my mid-tones just to lightly map out where I think I'm going to want my highlights or my shadow. And my shadow is under the hairline or under the chin line, any area that's being kind of obscured from direct light. And I'm having my highlight come in from the front. And I'm taking my shadow, my E53, and I'm applying that on top. Just starting very sparingly. You can always add more, but if you do try to go from applying light on top of dark, I know I end up getting very blotchy skin. You can always add dark on top and then blend out, but to do it in the reverse manner, you will end up with some blotches, or at least I always do. And then we will be just working out from that area in which we applied shadow with our mid-tone and blending out a little bit, and then blending out toward the center, but not going over the center completely with our highlight. Blending toward the center, but reserving some of that lightness, because the second tip is to keep your contrast. Making sure you begin with your shadows being very small, and then work your image multiple times. Try to spend time really getting that shadow and the blend just the way you want it. It will be so worth it in the end. And then blending always, with your mid-tone out. So my pattern is base color, then mapping in my shadow, then applying my shadow, blending out with your mid-tone and then your base color. Then going back and reworking with your shadow again, and then reworking that same pattern till you get the look you want. And my very third tip is to add a cast shadow. As you know, and you go up in that the first number, not the letter, but the number on your Copic color scale, it adds more gray. Not the second number, but the very first, like the 8, the 5, or the 8. The 8 has a lot more gray in it than your 5. So just that area that will really be obscured in order to get more contrast, once your colors are dry, touch it with your cast shadow very sparingly in that area. That would be my third tip. Make sure that your color's dry, and then you can apply your cast very sparingly. It'll add enough contrast and give a very realistic look. Now we're just adding a touch of color with our R20. We'll go and we'll do the same process on the hands. There's not a lot of hands showing, but or arm, or no hands. I guess she's holding her book, but we'll just do the same process there. So the three things again would be applying a base coat for smoothness. Number 2, maintaining that highlight and the contrast by working your shadow very sparingly and then going over it multiple times in order to really establish that contrast. And the third is sparingly using a little bit of cast shadow. I used E81, but I know that Marianne Walker often uses a BV00. But again, go very sparingly on your cast unless you're really wanting some kind of almost that photography effect where a part of the facial image or whatever is really in dark cast shadow. I don't see a lot of that with Copic, unless you're looking at some of the work done by some of your heavy-duty artists. But those are my 3 tips for you today. Give it a try, have fun, and play. If you see this on YouTube, I hope you like, you share, and you subscribe. Thank you.